Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody out there. I don't say this hardly ever, but and I don't have intros and outros and all that stuff. But like, share, and subscribe if you like my videos, please. Just that helps. I'm right at 3,700 subscribers, so that's awesome. And I think that maybe somewhere along the line here, I'll try to do some kind of a push or promotional to hit 5,000. It's kind of a landmark. 100, 1,000, 5,000. So, but anyway, like, share, subscribe if you would. On Facebook, whatever you do, social media. I don't do Twitter. I don't do Instagram, although that is pretty cool. Pinterest, all that stuff. I'm not social media savvy. So, all right. So I got a little cute little comment here from Countryman out in West Virginia. He says, had a hot wire fence on a pulse system. I told my cousin it wasn't working. I was grabbing the fence between pulses. I've done that on a lot hotter charger than these. Third time's a charm. I grabbed it. The next thing I remember, I'm on my back looking up at him. I told him it works just fine. Note to self, take the word of someone smarter than you and don't mess with electric fences barefoot. You can see videos of somebody when they're barefoot and they touch that fence. Two guys touch it and one guy has shoes on, the other one doesn't. Boom, the one guy gets blasted. So, what he said there just brought to mind the story that I read or told you about of my experience with a 20 joule charger. Had my boots been wet and had the current have flowed down through my body, I was in the process of stepping, and it probably would have knocked me directly backwards pretty far, because it would have straightened. You typically straightens your muscles out. There was a kid at work that got electrocuted, and my friend D2, Don Riley, Mad Dog, was standing behind him, and he caught him. Little kid, his hair shot up, and he had long hair, and his hair shot up like, and he slammed back into Don, and he caught him, so he didn't hit the ground. But anyway, I've always wondered, what if it had gone through my body down instead of across? But in either case, it would have gone through my heart. So it might have killed me had it gone to ground directly. I don't know. Kind of a question. Okay, so back on the subject of, I'm going to touch base on this just because it's here, and then I'm going to move along. That triangular shot there is for a large guardian dog to be able to get into an enclosure where he can have food for the dog, and the goats can't get in there, sheep can't get in there. So that's interesting. Now he had to widen it. He widened it at the top. He brought it down lower at the bottom and made it a more of a inverted, upside down, truncated pyramid. He made instead of it coming down to a V, he widened it out at the bottom about 7 inches. So anyway, it worked, I guess. So back to the subject of, because that is an issue. My son has run goats and cattle both with electric fence and not, both ways. And he had like a car top, rack for a top of a car, had it on a little trailer, and he had it so that the dog could go, he had the dogs trained to go up underneath and go in a little hole and eat their food. And it was a pretty good idea, except for the fact that half the time the little goats would go in there and eat. Well, one goat had been a bottle baby goat, CJ, Carolina. And her baby he called CJ Carolina Jr. But that goat was bottle baby. It liked dog food. And it got in there and it ate so much dog food that it killed her. I mean, she was so bloated out that she rolled over on her back and she was ready to explode from dog food. So stupid. And that's what a lot of people do. They eat to the point where they blow up. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about fencing, because there's just so much potential here with this electric fencing, portability, ease of installation. And so I just want to point out, bring your own research to the party, especially if you're going to be a landowner or are already a landowner get out there online and study it. You know, I'm trying to do what I can do to kind of give direction. Okay, here's a path to run down, and take whichever one path down there you want to take. But perimeter field fencing with electric poly wire. Now, poly wire is really cool. That's what my son primarily uses for goats. He runs like 4 strands back and forth. And you can get it to where the goats respect it enough. I have seen a goat, I kid you not, if I'll describe this stuff. You got barbed wire. And you got, most barbed wire is cheap. It's steel barbed wire. But gaucho is high tensile stainless steel. If you're going to do barbed wire, use gaucho wire, period. Because otherwise, you see barbed wire, you know, in dentist's office, they like to have their collections of barbed wire. And it's so dull that you couldn't cut butter with it. Well, gaucho wire 20 years from now will still be razor sharp. The spikes will be sharp. They'll cut you. They'll tear your clothing open. They'll tear your skin open. They'll cut you to the bone. Okay, so gaucho wire is the thing to use, but 2 inches from the ground, I've seen, well, 3 inches, about that far from the ground, I watched a goat put its nose under there, wiggle its head, splay all 4 legs out flat, and crawl under that, even though it was tight. Crawl under it, leave hair on that razor sharp gaucho wire, and go outside and eat. And then we watched it go back in. But I'll never forget the look on that goat's face. You know, it's sitting out there and it's got a mouthful of nice green grass. It was outside the fence. And we walked up and looked at it, and it looked at us like, don't you even think about messing with me because I'm eating, you know. It was funny. So when I'm saying poly wire, that's just a stainless steel embedded single strand, and that's what he uses for cattle. 1 strand of that with cattle is good. So, which brings you to you know, another point I wanted to make is that if you're thinking about, you know, for those of you who are out there and either already have property or thinking about, you know, and having animals, you know, stick with animals that are more hardy. In other words, horses that you know, that can eat what's out there. You know, you don't have to feed them hay or some special hay. So eat, you know, have cattle that are hardier, and there's different kinds, but you know, have cattle that are bred for this area. South Pole is one. There's several. The Highland cattle are pretty cool. I know a guy that's raising those. But South Pole is a breed of cattle bred for hot climates. Where they came from was probably everybody remembers the band Alabama. Well, Teddy Gentry, when they signed their first album, he made millions and millions of dollars. He bought his grandfather's farm and began breeding cattle. So that's what Alabama, the lead singer, did with his, you know, his money off of a record. So that was pretty cool. So there's a bunch. There's no end to the number of videos you're going to be able to find that have installed fencing. So there's going to be a bunch of them. I can't cover them all. I can't even begin to cover them all. A lot of people are doing Premier 1, and that's okay. The chargers, there's different kind of chargers too, so they have different chargers. So you got to determine, and I'm going to go into a little bit of that, how much you think you're going to do. Okay, so that's a better shot of that one. That's Farm Alarm. I hadn't heard of them. I haven't subscribed yet that I can see there. How to install electric netting from Premier 1. Premier 1 is one of the big ones. I'm going to go into that in a minute. There's Zach Bauer did Premier 1. I mentioned him yesterday. So grass-fed homestead, I would look at them because they're talking about doing poly wire. Now they might be doing a lot of. They have quite the setup. Beautiful. They had a professionally done fencing. You can see it there. Watch that video a little bit. They did a bang-up job. I mean, they got money. You know, they got more money than Carter's got liver pills, more money than I've got, because they did a heck of a job on their fencing. Absolutely beautiful corner posts and everything. So, and they thought it out well too. Stony Creek Heritage Farm, moving the perimeter. I would definitely advise watching this one. If you're going to plan, and I'll go into this again in a little while, if you're planning on or thinking about doing electric fencing for goats or something and planning on moving it, realize the amount of work that's involved. And so watch this one and be sure that you understand when they speed it up, that means they were so bored with the amount of time it took that they, sped it up, or even lapsed it, or just, cut out big chunks of it. So if the information is not on here on the comment section, I would ask them, how much time did it actually take you? Was that a full 8-hour day or whatever? For goats, if you're doing it that and it is that kind of time, man, it ain't worth it, because goats just eat too much and they eat too fast. And what my son does with polywire, like say 3, 4, I would say 4, even 5. What the heck? It's no different running 5 strands than it's moving the post and moving the line. The line is still attached to the post when you move them, so who cares? 5 strands, keep the goats in, make sure they stay in. So goats are a lot bigger pain in the ass than most any other animal, definitely than cattle. They say, when you're building fence, you want to build it, horse high, hog tight, bull strong, horse high, and hog tight. Well, dummies didn't say nothing about goats. And I'm telling you, goats are destructive when they get out. They will eat your garden. They'll eat your orchard. They will eat your rose bushes. They'll eat your raspberries, berries, and everything else bushes. And they will obliterate everything. That's good if you want to use them for fire control, like I said. Okay, so this is living traditions. This is their video when they first got their shipment of 12/48/3. That's 48 inches, 12 inches, 48 inches, 3 inches. So theoretically, that's 4 feet high and 12 inches in between the verticals and 3 inches in between the 12 inches in between the horizontals and 3 inches in between the verticals. So, living traditions. Okay, they are in Missouri. That's the couple that just have a really awesome place as far as they're. So here's another thing I wanted to say is I've been going to keep hammering on this. I'm going to do a video on it, and we need to get somebody to start, if anybody's interested in doing this, start working on helping each other out. In other words, get an association going here, so that everybody in Missouri and Arkansas that's interested in getting help can sign in. Obviously, these people, maybe they don't think they need help, but they do. Art and Bree, even. This is another. These are pretty cool guys. Where they're at, I don't know. I'm thinking somebody just bought a schoolhouse, and I don't quite remember if that was this couple or not. I kind of think it was. I don't know. This was January 18, 2017. Don't know. Anyway, Premier 1, they're doing it, and this guy's just laying it out. He got the step-in posts. We're going to go into that in a minute again. So there's another one up there, Wholesome Roots, using Premier 1 electric fence for goats. Chickens and goats, big difference. Goats and horses, big difference. Cattle, big difference. Don't assume that one system is going to work for everything, because it really won't. Sheep, another thing, totally different. So, and when you get to I'm going to cover that. So, wherever this is, Wyoming or somewhere, I don't know, but this is for one solitary beehive, bear fencing. Okay. There's his setup. He's got 4 strands in that far corner. You can see the 4 yellow insulators. Bam, 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 bam. 4 wires. Solar panel, battery. Now this guy kind of hacked it. He didn't buy a unit with a nice one-piece solar panel and battery and blah, 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 all in one. You can see the battery in the box down there in a tub. You don't have to buy kits. You don't have to pay big money for stuff. Any deep cycle battery will do. My son gets marine batteries, the best, gel cell marine batteries, O'Reilly's, and O'Reilly warrants stuff, electrical stuff. So battery goes bad, take it back, get another one. So the charger's there. I don't see a solar panel, but I'm assuming the solar panel might be on the lid of that little thing there. Not positive, but I'm going to assume that. Got to be a solar system. Okay, the little tensioners here on the left there, right in front of that box, those are the gate things. In other words, you grab a hold of those, see they're wide enough for your hand, and they're under spring loaded, so you just click it from the gate. and drop all those, and you can walk through. So, and that's again installing electric bare fence for beehive. So, and up there, how to build an electric, all these electric bare fence tested down there. That's the one that I showed you the other day. This is one that this guy shows basically all the components, and here you see steel wire on the spool there. You see your insulated wire for running, your from your panel, your solar panel and your battery to the fence. 3 different kinds of insulators there, the bag of them, a long one, a medium one, and a short one. And doggone it, I meant to grab mine. I just ordered some. One of the things I did was I just was kind of an long shot possibility, but that T-post stepper, that high stepper, Lobo high stepper, I thought, well, insulators are pretty hefty, and what if you got 2 of those and hooked them on a T-post? I haven't played with it yet. Because if it doesn't work, I'll put it on T-post with no fence on it first, because if it breaks and my 200 and some pounds and the fence is in between my legs, I'm going to be hurting, so I'm not going to do that. But I would try to climb it, if I ever get around to messing with it. Light person, it might work out. I'm thinking, always constantly thinking of hacks, Is there a way to duplicate that T-post stepper without, you can make it out of steel, be a little bit heavier. Anyway, long story. All right, bang, bang, this way, that way. Okay, so that's a picture of a ground rod with your grounding clamp up on the top right there where his hand is. So you need wire 14 gauge. You could use 12. My son uses 12 gauge, thicker, heavier. Stainless steel. This guy was talking about, one guy was talking about using aluminum. The bare fence post guy. Why? Whatever. Stainless steel. Always buy stainless steel. You're gonna be, if they do make it, and I'm not sure they even do, because I wouldn't even think about buying it. Aluminum, you're going to be handling it. You're going to get aluminum on your hands. The aluminum is going to go into your bloodstream. Once it gets into your bloodstream, it's going to your brain. 30 years from now, you're going to be going, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. I don't remember what I did yesterday. I don't remember my son's name. I don't remember that I have a son. That type of thing. So it's called Alzheimer's. Don't get it. Don't eat out of Teflon pans. Don't eat off aluminum cookware. Don't buy aluminum coffee pots. Jersey made that mistake. I hate the fact that they can polish aluminum till it's really shiny. That's not right. I hate that. The Kelly kettle. If you ever want to get basically one of the simplest rocket stoves in existence is called a Kelly kettle, and it's you build a fire down here at the bottom. The chimney is going up here, and then it's got around it. It's got basically a coffee pot looking, conical, somewhat tapered mechanism with where you put your water. So your water is around the chimney of the fire. You put a few twigs in there, light it up, boom. You've got hot water in a matter of just a few minutes. It's called a Kelly kettle. They do make them out of aluminum, which is just flippin' stupid. Somebody made a stove out of aluminum. The guy got it, and the first time he used it, it burned a hole right through it. What's the point? Aluminum does not hold as high a heat as stainless steel. So, rule of thumb: don't get plastic. If you can get stainless steel, don't use black stovepipe. If you can use stainless steel, don't use aluminum wire. If you can use stainless steel, why do all these old houses burn down? Aluminum wire, because it melts, sparks, shorts out, boom, fire, bang. Guy that I knew burned both their houses down. Every time it rained, they heard crackling in the wall. Well, instead of ripping the wiring out, they kept piddling around doing the same stupid thing they're doing every day. Boom. There went a lifetime of accumulated value and stuff. The only 2 things that survived was a wood stove that he had built and the cast iron cookware. Invest in cast iron. It will survive a house fire, guaranteed. I sandblasted them both out and they reused them. So, insulators, Energizer, 0.7 joules or greater. We're going to get to that in a minute. Fence tester. It comes with a kit with he's saying you need a fence tester. Some of these come with a fence tester, and you should have that ground rod 6 foot. Okay. So now this here, if you'll notice, right there in the blue label there is Premier 1. So we're going to get into that again, but this is a nice, big, heavy-duty, awesome, waterproof, solid-looking case. They make other types. So they make several different kinds. Okay. Again, 14 gauge. This is as he's going through it. I'm going backwards on this. So wire, 14 gauge insulated wire, insulators, energizer. 0.7 joules, fence tester, ground rod. Okay, so in the event you have a plug-in, you have 110. He has a couple of chargers fixtures here. He's not selling anything. He's not doing a review of any particular product. The one on the right I can see is Patriot. The one on the left is Gallagher. I'm pretty sure Gallagher is orange. Look them up. They make fence chargers. So what he's pointing out is if you have a 110 power available, use it. If not, use your your solar system. And Premier One is one that makes solars. The tester there you can see is Gallagher, and it's orange. So that goes with that other one there. So that's your tester right there. See, that's that case of that Premier One. That thing is heavy duty. You can tell that just from glancing at it. I can tell that thing is built to last. That's built to go through airport security and get banged around and dropped and everything else. It's got reinforcement on the corners. I guarantee you, look at the size of those buckles on it. Nice piece of equipment. Okay, so this is, I have no idea where. Arctic or Antarctic, way out in the middle of nowhere. This is a polar bear observation station, or a Nordic observation station. So what you see here is heavy rods, pound in, reinforced corners, solar panel. Now here's the thing, here's the weak point. You see where that's a Gallagher system. The battery over there, I'm betting anything. See the single strand wire going from the fence to that charger. I would put that somewhere else, like at a corner post maybe. I would put it closer to, I would put it by a corner post so it's protected a little bit. Visually protected. I would camouflage that somehow with something. Point being is they're dealing. Are you shitting me? %. Nothing. 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 Well. $10.03.